Welcome back to the Black Rasslin Podcast. You already know when you see that special presentation, that's no nonsense. There's something special going on. I was looking at the number of times we've spoken to this brother. I think this will be the fourth. It's around the fourth or the fifth. Either way, it's there's a reason for this season. December 7th in North Carolina, ASÉ is celebrating their 1 year anniversary. I feel like it's for it to be a year, it almost feels like it's been a quick year. There's been so much going on in the world, as well as so much going on within ASÉ itself. There's an 8-man title tournament. That look at this. We're gonna talk about this a bit, but look at this beautiful, this gorgeous belt. But they've got an 8-man tournament going on for that title on December 7th in North Carolina. If you tickets on sale now for the 1 year anniversary of ASÉ, you know what time it is. We've got the Intergalactic Soul himself, the honorable brother, the revolutionary. I do not have his theme song, but I'm going to put my fist up anyway for the one and the only Darius Lockhart, my brother. Welcome back,
brother. Thank you for having me, though.
I will say, I actually didn't have this on the list, but in thinking about stuff, there's a lot of like going to pro wrestling shows and like hearing theme music and be like, oh, how do people react? It's interesting to see people catch on to you. Cause like it's that's not the type of song I'm ready to like when you or it's like Billy Dixon hype. You got the most mellow music. He put that fist in and I think at a certain point, like, because if I'm at the show, I'm trying to do what the wrestler doing. So if you put your fist in, I'll put my fist in the air. So hopefully the rest of the crowd goes in. And I was watching I believe it was ASÉ 6. It was during your entrance at ASÉ 6. I believe Chris Lee was like, oh yeah, the crowd stand up, they got their fists in the air. I'm like, yeah, crowd participation. For you, what is it about, like, what when you decide like, yo, this is how I want to enter a ring, what is it about that song, what is it about that moment that makes it this is the only way Darius Lockhart can enter an arena?
Okay, that's a great question, man. When it comes to the music, I really wanted a tonal shift. I wanted to feel different when I came in the room. I wanted to stand apart from everyone, my coworkers and everything. And you got to have a lot of confidence and the right swagger movement to you to come out to something like that. You can't really second guess it in your movements after you do it. So it's a commitment. And once the audience sees that you're committed to, the sound, the feeling of who you are, then it's much easier for them to commit and invest as well. It's just so different, and it's funny. It's had different reactions, largely positive. I remember one time I did a sort of a kind of a one-on-one talk with Lance Storm, and he didn't get it. He was like, I don't get the music. It's so slow. It was an R&B concert, and I was like, exactly.
Yeah, it's a vibe. It's a vibe,
and it changes. Like I said, it just really set the tone of what I wanted the Intergalactic Soul to be, what I wanted the vibe to be, because it just feels different. But in terms of the fist in the air, that also took something getting used to. I came out with my back turned, through the fist. And then I used to just kind of walk around with it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I try to do a thing.
Like fist bumps as well.
Yeah, sometimes I do a fist bump to everybody. Sometimes I pick one person, try to make it special. But it's kind of hard to walk past people when they show you that much love. So everyone gets one nowadays, right?
Facts.
So it's so I remember the first few times that happened, people in the back were confused because they thought that like I went from getting really loud responses to like, whoa. It's quiet when Darius music hit. What the hell is going on? People ain't, but everyone had their fists in the air. So it becomes its own unique, different pop, which is interesting. It's like a silent pop, but you see this and it's nothing really like it.
Well, I like when you say tonal shift. I think that's probably the best way to do. Because again, when Darius Lockhart's in the building, it's nation time, and I feel like it feels like, all right, let me go grab my plate, let me go sit on the couch, let me go be with my people. It's like it's like when I say vibe, I really. But actually, and before we get to 1 year at ASÉ, everything, I wanted to shout y'all out because I didn't know. That I hadn't heard anything about Sandy Parker passing, and to to be hit with that news and then realize, damn, it had been like 2+ years, but to then see that Sandy Parker was y'all were trying to it wasn't just going to be Trisha Dora versus Aja Kong. Y'all was going to try and really have Sandy Parker there. Like, talk about that type of thing, because it's one thing to put the two wrestlers in the ring, but like it's another thing to have the foresight to be like, oh, let's also get the first black woman who happened to be a world champion in the arena as well. Was that early in the Ashe to like figuring out that first show?
Yeah, that was early on, you know, and I hope no one takes it as trying to make that moment about us or anything like that.
No, of course, of course.
But I did want to show the love and the intentionality that she wasn't a forgotten person. I remember I was doing a lot of research about older black wrestlers in maybe 2018, 2019. I made a Black History video, and I dug up every black wrestler I could find that I just was like, wow, there's some stories here I don't know. Right. And her name was one of them, her story about being the first black women's world champion. And so Sandy Parker was a name that kind of stuck out that I always tried to mention in lumps with Ron Simmons whenever I had the foresight to.
Right.
Say Ron Simmons, I said also Sandy Parker if I had just was in the moment. And I remember when I first put down Trish versus Aja, you know, I was thinking that's cool. They have the Japan connection, right? And something happened where I think I reposted. Maybe it was I reposted that Black History Month video for October because I like posted it twice because England's Black History Month is in October, so it's a different time.
Okay.
I went over the Sandy Parker thing, and I was like, man, whoa, is she still around? Where is she? Like, you know, and had a conversation with Billy Dixon about it. Apparently, he was also trying to find her. He'd been trying to find her. So because, you know, he wanted it because she was also a very proud queer woman. So he wanted to be part of something he was affiliating with Paris Bumping, I believe, maybe. You have to ask him the details. But we were both looking for it. And man, I went through the months leading up to Ashe 1. I went through anyone who wrote an article about her. There is a club, I can't remember the name of it, but there's a club that honors pro wrestlers, similar to kind of like the WON Hall of Fame.
Is it like a Cauliflower Alley? Yeah.
The Cauliflower Alley. They honored her in 2006. So I went down and reached out to them and see, does anyone know where she is? Led me to her, her tag team partner, the lady she won the tag team championships with. We've been talking on Facebook, and every few months I'll hit her up and say, hey, have you found anything? She'll go, no, the address is dead. So I don't know what's going on. And when the news broke the other day, that was us finding out too. So it was like, man, I've been looking for this person, and they had passed the year before I was able to look for her. It was just really crazy to see. And I wish we could have given her flowers. We were around to give her flowers when she was still here. But, you know, you live and you learn, and some things just can't be done. But we try to honor her in posts, and we're looking for ways to keep honoring her going forward as well.
I think once we start getting to talk of the future of Ashe, there's probably going to be one or two ways. But no, I do appreciate that, because I think before Black Rasslin was a podcast, before it was a website, before it was anything, it was literally finding not just images of black folks who wrestled. It was trying to find this type of stuff. Who was the Bearcats? You know what I mean? Like the people before the people that we talk about. And I genuinely, because I follow y'all, that was the first place I saw it. And then when I did a Google search, I found, I think it was Slam Wrestling had a big feature on it, which was very insightful. But rest in peace to her. I think this is having the foresight to be like, hey, we need to connect these dots and really make sure that people understand the history of this thing that we're involved in. I think it's an amazing thing that you're doing, and I shouts out to you for, it's a year. We're weeks away from the 1 year anniversary show. How are you feeling about Ashe, coming up on that 1 year anniversary?
I'm optimistic. This year has taught me a lot, in terms of promoting, advertising and things like that. I'm just learning the ups and downs. We've had some really high highs already in year one, and not too bad of a lows, luckily. But we've had some moments where we're like, okay, well, how do we pivot? How do we redirect? How do we learn from this? And that's been, of course, insightful, but in a way, it's exciting as well, because then I get to get better. So that's how I'm feeling about it. Optimistic and hopeful for the new year that you guys are continuing to hopefully, even amplify the support next year, coming in next year.
Oh no, but yeah, I think that's we may need to have some nation conversations about figuring out what 2025 could look like, because I do want to say I don't know, I don't purport to know what anybody else does. I know me as a fan of pro wrestling, I want to watch the show, and you talked about learning some things. I did have one question. It's a question people have me because I try when the match come out, if it's on YouTube, if what like. Y'all presentation is ill, and I love being able. I remember a year ago being able, like, yo, I get to watch this. I want to say it was like, was it a Friday or Saturday, whatever the case may be. I was home and I was tapped in, and I was in awe of how dope it looked. And I did I feel like the last couple shows they look great, but they have been. Instead of streaming, it's kind of been like, here's a date that we drop. Is that going to be the normal course going on?
So
just for people that want to know in terms of the live experience.
So no, it won't be yes and no. I'll say this,
Okay.
yes and no. So the idea right now is to as the start of next year, as next year kicks off, we'll be releasing everything we filmed in 2-match episodes that go on YouTube for free. So that's the current plan right now. So everyone who has not seen all of this, they'll be behind, but they'll get to see it, and it's also going to be repackaged in a new way. I'm editing everything and kind of spicing it up and making it very digestible for people who don't like wrestling, but also cool and just new and unique for people who are very familiar with wrestling. You kind of got to go with a different flavor. So I'm bringing something new with it. So you get everything repackaged in a very cool new shiny package. You get it really in order, so it really feels more episodic and everything really bleeds together. As you can see how things are tied up. Stuff we filmed that we haven't released yet, stuff that we plan on releasing. So all those things happen, but I think those will be sandwiched in between an occasional live stream, like an occasional live type deal. So like what you've seen before, the early ASÉ when we're live, this anniversary show, we're going to go live again. But I think we're saving those for the special occasions, and let's really make it. And then everything else gets they happen, but they kind of pre-tape. So then we'll release it as the episodes as well as we go on. So there's a little bit of hybrid. And if that doesn't work, we'll of course correct again. But our biggest thing is making sure all this hard work, you guys get to see it. It's a very easily thing. And we shout out to people who have held us down this first year paying the paywall. We know that's a very big ask of anyone. It's a new product. I just wanted to, just kind of see what happens in the first year, stock hold, and then let's shoot the next one.
Again, for people that ain't paying $10, $15, like it's you're not, and I do want to commend you again for the last. It was Smile, ASÉ is with you, and ASÉ 6. You're getting. Hell, sometimes it's even a little tighter because some of the a live show, it could be a live show could be a live show. You can get like 3 hours, sometimes it could be 4 hours depending on what's going on. Being able to get like the 2 to 3 hour show where you're not just getting all of the action and the replays and everything going on, but like what was it? It was the segment with everybody figuring out O'Shea was on the way, like being able to see people show their personality and stuff like that, the Halloween costume stuff. Like I think that it reminds me when you talk about like shooting it and then doing like episodic, it reminds me of ECW back in like the mid 90s where they would tape, all right, we're going to be here November 18th, we're going to be at the ECW arena, and then like that next 2-3 weeks you got to see what happened on November 18th at the ECW arena. So I love the fact that we're going to be able to see more of this because there's the stories. I mean, we're talking. There's 5 years of Billy Dixon and Darius Carter. We'll get to this in a second, but even stuff like Karen Bam Bam and Faye Jackson being able to finally have that match in an ASÉ ring. I think people being able to connect those dots and really being able to see, hey, they had this conversation X amount of years ago, and now it's available to watch right now. It's only going to be more beneficial for, again, fans of wrestling, fans of black people, fans of people in North Carolina trying to have a good night out every month or so. Like I really enjoy all of that. A year going in, is there anything like I guess I mean I don't want you to talk about how much stuff you had on your things I want to get done list in 2024, but like in terms of the goals you set for ASÉ over the last year, like do you feel like you've been able to check a lot of those things off the box, off the list? I mean,
I'd say a lot of them, not all of them for sure, but a lot of them. I think everyone going into a plan this large or something this ambitious, you have to shoot for the sky and pass and beyond, because otherwise, you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't aim high.
Right.
But a lot of things are just going to just be, you have to take time. And, I'm not foolish enough to ignore that time serves and informs.
Mhm.
So I have to just kind of go with the punches and realize that I'm in the moment. I am doing it.
Right.
You just get to learn and execute at a higher level every time, because you can only get better. And you learn from mistakes. So, I wish this would have been a flawless year. Nothing went wrong. But, there are so many things that go wrong that I had to fix and figure out and pivot before the show happens. And I think it just made me better, honestly.
What is there anything you can share without getting too, in depth?
I mean, there's injuries. We had that beautiful match, Fire and Flavor versus King Bees, and Kara unfortunately got hurt. We're still, hoping she gets a nice recovery. She's doing well. She's been telling us she's very excited to come back to ASÉ. So that's always cool when people are.
I saw she had a video that she said, don't get it twisted. We may be back soon, but yeah.
And there's no telling when, but I think when she is, she'll be very welcome. I think things like that, injuries I can't help, booking situations, people can't make it or anything like that. Those are always fall throughs, and you have to kind of just figure out where you're going to pivot from there. But overall, there's nothing I could really complain about, and there's no harm, no foul. I'm nothing that keeps me up at night anymore.
Word. Yeah. There's one match in particular I want to ask you about, but in terms of you still having your Booker hat on, I want to talk about ASÉ 6 and you bringing out Khan. I think Khan is, I mean, for a bunch of different reasons, for men, women, whatever you're into, I think Khan is up there for a lot of people. Yeah. It seems like there's been a lot of response, whether from his match or it was shout out to Yo-Yo, you know what I mean?
With the hands there.
Talk about that. Khan going there feels like it was a big deal. Feels like it was a moment for y'all.
Yeah, that it was cool. I've always seen Khan as a big player. We've been in talks about making his entry, happen here at ASÉ since the first show. Really, it's the first show or second show. He was interested, and it was about really us saying, "Hey, when's the right time, and what's going to service the story that we want to tell with you?" And I didn't think it would make sense too early, but now is the perfect time. And when he came in, one little idea that happened ended up going viral, and now it's a really cool thing that his first entry, before he even wrestles, before the bell rings, what he does got us over 1.7 million views, and it was cool to see. And that's just on one Twitter video. That was that person's Twitter video, so there's no telling.
Crazy.
You add up Instagram and TikTok,
right?
What it is, but Twitter alone had 1.7 million views last time I checked, and that was a week ago. So Khan is a money-making machine, and I'm glad we can help people see that, but I hope that people let us work with them before they start really seeing it and trying to.
Right. Yeah.
Let us cook with brother a little bit. He just got here, and we have so many cool things we want to do. So,
hey,
an interesting guy and a great utilitarian player to have on your roster.
It's fun seeing him, because again, this is a man who I talked to him last December. It was just last December after he came back from Japan from the Super Juniors. But she's talking AEW, Ring of Honor, six-man tag champ. But he's also an MCW. He at the end of y'all show though, he looking at Suge's belt. He looking at y'all belt.
Yeah.
I have to pivot for a sec because shout out Chris Lee that night, the night of ASÉ 6. Chris hit myself and brother Fam up. Shout out to Fam. He was like, he just sending photos. I'm like, yo, can I put these online? Because this thing is so. All right, let me just confirm one thing. All right, because I see I love seeing the little characters and they're actually doing wrestling moves or whatever. That's Tribe Called Quest.
So that is inspired by the art that was on Tribe Called Quest, right?
Got you.
So originally that work was inspired by artist named Keith Haring from the 90s. But you do see that on the Tribe Called Quest stuff. So it not only the Tribe Called Quest stuff, but so many black graffiti, so much black graffiti art and living color, all those things. That art was found everywhere back then. So I think that was a real big inspiration for what I was bringing to this company when we were bringing to pro wrestling. So I said it has to find its way on there. And it's really cool because the belt, I really wanted a sense of community. The belt has but it's really a baby of community. There's a lot of eyes on it. The brother who created the Pan-African title helped us with some of the side plate stuff. The brother JB Cool, it's not JB Cool. I'm so sorry. That's a comedian. JB Toys, official James Brennan. JB Toys, who's made some of the New Japan custom belts, made us help me design the most of it. I kind of drew out what I wanted, and he designed some of that. The brother named Riley Parks, who does some of our t-shirt designs and artwork, and has done some stuff for me. Did a little crown piece that was on one of his t-shirts he made, and I just kind of snatched it and threw it at the top of it. So this championship is really an amalgamation of several different ideas and tones, and I was like, there's something in between all of these if you can just mold it together, and I think we got this, baby. So
was this one of the, again, how, because I'm a person, I'm like, yo, I'm seeing all this beauty every month and change. I'm seeing amazing matches. I'm seeing these storylines coming up. Hell, I'm seeing movie Mike over here and Kevin Knight over there. At some point, it was going to, get to this. And at one point, Chris Lee was like, hey, I hear y'all. We got y'all in a second. But for like this design in particular, I imagine having the belt is some early conversation. But like this design, like when did you really start putting together, like, all right, this is where the crown is going to be and the man's going to be all around here? Like what?
That was around, I think we finalized the design around the time of Cosmos. But I always knew that we were going to have this in Crown It in December. I feel like that was always the goal. But we finalized that this is what we're going with. Right before Cosmos happened, like maybe a week or two beforehand.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's really a lot of the synergy you see between February and then it's like me trying to nail it. Like, let's get this right.
Yeah, the person holding this. Well, again, mention it's a whole tournament going on. Before we get to your match, because you were in the first round, and shout out to Jossie. But I wanted to talk about the match you had a couple of months back against Chase Coleman. Because it was ill. Like I was like, wait, Caprice Coleman's son is wrestling too, and then like I was going to cage match. I see they had some tag matches, but then to see him going up against you, and he's young. I don't know what we're gonna call the young brothers that's going through the ASÉ dojo whenever that happens, but that's like some real young line. We could see him coming into that at some point. But for you, how important was it for you to be like, let me get this kid with this potential and put him in the ring with me?
I mean, to me, that was huge. It was a very familial moment. I've known Caprice for years. When my entry into pro wrestling, I was watching him when I was 13 or 14 at the indie shows locally with him and Cedric. And then when I started wrestling at 17, him and Cedric were two of the first people that I was, meeting and mentoring me. So I've seen Chase come in the ring at 6 years old and just jump around the ring playing with his dad. And, and always joked with Caprice back then, me and him going to work one day, what I'm saying? Whatever. And from Caprice being Cedric's first Ring of Honor match, and then Cedric being my first match, and then first PWX match, and then now me being Chase's first ASÉ match, there's kind of a torch that we kind of pass on and show love through. So that was a really cool moment for me to be able to pay it forward and to put Chase in position to be seen by more people, and also just to get him in here and get some reps and hopefully seize him up some opportunity, line him up.
Facts. I don't have the image loaded up in the system right now, but one of my favorite moments from that Halloween Battle Royal was him and Jordan Holt with the Spider-Man point. It's that type of, but that's the type of energy you can only get at an ASÉ show. Again, December 7th, North Carolina. Now, talk about, we talk about you getting in the ring, and you've been, I feel like months ago we mentioned, you had a match. What you was like, no, I'm be in the ring. You first round, and I mean, you created the title. You are the man behind ASÉ, but you also had, and this ain't, Jossie ain't no slouch. That's some. He had to go through X amount of people to even get to this. So talk about your first round match and going into this tournament with this title that you set up and the company that you set up. That I literally got on my chest right now.
No, see, so. I have, once again, if you see ASÉ 4, I have relinquished kind of my in-power duties over to Caprice and the board decision board, basically. That board being made of people like D'Lo Brown, people like Mark Henry, people like Ron Simmons and Teddy Long. They have insight and kind of guide us in the right way. And so I really wanted to be a competitor again. I know it's my company, but at the same time, I want to help this thing grow, and I do miss professional wrestling. So putting them in charge allows me to kind of just compete and focus on that. I've had only three real matches this year. But I was victorious in all three of them, I believe. I beat Darius Carter, I beat Chase Coleman, and I beat Zamir and Ashton, who, Ashton is a little bit of a tough ass. Carter's a little tough ass, but, Coleman and Zamir are younger guys. So I'm aware it's like a 50-50 split of who I'm in there with. And that's no disrespect to them, but they're just learning and growing. They're young men. Now, when it comes to Jassi, I'm not intimidated by him. In fact, I'm impressed by him, which is why I was excited to have him here at ASÉ, but also am excited to get in the ring with him. If he catches me slipping, which I don't think he will, but if he does, then more power to him, and there's elevation here. I'm not going to take anything personal. I wanted to relinquish my duty so I can compete and be genuinely like competing. But I'm in the ring weekly, working with people like Arn Anderson. Night MTA has been watching some of the stuff we've been doing. It's been really cool. Yeah, so I've been really honing in, doing some of the same training and stuff I was doing for Carter. And if I can get past Darius Carter, I think I should be doing good going against someone like Jassi, who's of the same ilk.
I guess it's time to kind of bring up the elephant in the room. I mean, Darius Carter, whose career I've followed specifically over the last couple of years. He at the last ASÉ show, he said some stuff. He talked about how, and it's facts. I tweeted it myself. There was 2 ASÉ shows where he main evented and won. And I've been at a number of indie shows I've been to. The few times I've been outside, he main event.
Hold on. There's been 2 ASÉ shows he's main evented. He lost one of them to me.
My fault. I don't want to. My fault. But still, at a certain point, this man has been at least been. He was who you was going to see at the end of the show. And there's been a lot of shows where I've seen that. And there was what was the word he used specifically? There was a whole video that dropped at ASÉ 6, and he talked about collusion. Collusion. He said he was qualified to be in the tournament, so he didn't even have to worry about having a match. He just needed to be there because he should already be there. You talk about I'm a competitor. Are you ready for a situation if Darius Carter shows up at the 1-year anniversary show trying to start some smoke?
It's not a if he shows up thing. I've talked to Caprice and the board about it. I've let them know that I'm okay with this. There's no issue. We've invited him to come to the 1-hour anniversary show. He just thinks he's above having to qualify, and that's not how it works. Look, I started the company, and I had to qualify.
Facts.
And there's debate. I mean, I love my friend Billy, but maybe I could have got it done quicker if I was by myself. But I'm having to make sure Billy's good and getting this tournament because I'm the one who vouched for both him and Carter to be here at this tournament, right? I'm the one when Billy jumped off the ladder. And put Carter through the tape, and then they proceed to brawl and spit at fans and all these things, and it's chaotic. They both got suspended. Now, granted, I asked Billy to be there so I could publicly tell him to cut the shit in front of everybody. I wanted that to be public because he's got to be called out eventually. But Carter, he was suspended. Billy was suspended from in-ring competition. That's fine. The next month, you're free to come back. You're free to qualify. Billy had to qualify. You were already going to get a qualifying match. They were more mad at Billy than they were at you. And then you don't show up. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? I don't know what to tell you.
It feels like one of them situations where, again, like what they call it, a powder keg. I mean, this is just me forewarning. A couple weeks ahead, like you met 5 years of those 2 men having beef at arguably one of the biggest nights in the company so far. I just want to make sure my people's good. I want to make sure the Honorable Brothers is good. Cause I went to New York. I'm the little sidebar. I went to New York. I saw Darius Carter. He couldn't wrestle Wilkins from the Job of Tears in a cage, so they had a street fight. Darius Carter, in front of Wilkins' mama, pulled him out the ring, beat him all the way outside the ring, brought him back inside the ring, and then beat him like this. It's you talk about a man full of violence, a dastardly individual.
You're implying that I don't know that Darius Carter, number one, is dangerous. It's true that affects me. You saw our match, me and Darius Carter's match.
Facts.
Did I not just beat his ass around the ring?
You won that match. You were victorious.
No. But at the start of the match, it was me and him, and we went around that ring, and
It was a lot of emotion going on. You beat his ass. Facts. It's facts is facts.
Okay. So I'm just saying, whether he got some licks too in that match. I'm not going to shy away from that. He drop kicked the hell out of me. I still feel that sometimes. But my thing is, I can handle my own against Carter. I'm not afraid of him. Now, what we do need to be talking about is Billy, if he can keep himself in check. Those two backstage together, I'm a little worried about that environment. He just told me we've set their locker rooms apart from each other. So I'm or whatever. But I mean, Carter's not even supposed to be in the locker room anyway, so we're not really worried about it. He's just there as a spectator like the rest of everyone else. So
my hope is cooler heads prevail, because again, at the end of the day, it's about the 1 year anniversary of ASÉ. It's about crowning the first champion, the men's champion in ASÉ. I just be worried because I've gone to Philly. I've seen what y'all do in North Carolina. I've seen in New York. Like I worry about the brothers and sisters. I want everything to be cool. I want everything to be cool.
You saying NC people soft?
I'm not saying NC people soft. What it is that no disrespect, Mr. Lockhart. My thing is, gosh, what's the best way to put this? Because y'all have been doing so well with ASÉ. You mentioned Arn Anderson. You mentioned Eyes on You. I don't want it to be a situation where one of the brothers mess up the paper. I don't want it to be like, yo, it's too violent. We can't book it. So but maybe somebody like that. You never know. No, you never know. You never know. Switching gears, we're talking about a men's championship tournament. One of the things that ASÉ stands on is providing amazing women's wrestling. You got Tootie Lynn's and Karen Bam Bams, and there's a lot. The King Bees. There's a lot going on. When you tune into an ASÉ show. Have there been thoughts about other titles? Whether it be something for the women, something for the.
Are you asking if there's a women's title?
Is there a women's title? Could there be? What are the thoughts on the future of titles?
There is a women's title. There's a women's title on the way. We wanted each one to get its own focus, appropriate focus, and it's not really of a who gets it first if the man comes before the woman. I mean, women main evented our first show, so it's really, I hope people don't really take that into consideration either.
Facts.
It's really just a matter of getting the championship designs right, and we nailed the men's before we nailed the women. So it's like, all right, we'll do this one. And we want to give the women their own shot too, their own spotlight. But we're crowning this championship, and the women's is on the way.
I love it.
We will be crowning that very soon as well.
I do,
and there are other things in works, but but we're still trying to nail that as well. The designs, we're trying to get everything right.
I think for me, that's really dope. But I do think, in terms of, you're talking about crowning champions. The main thing advertised for this show is, the tournament for the title. Are there going to be, because that's 4, 6, there's like at least seven matches there. How much more of a show is going to be booked around the tournament?
Well, we are getting a women's match.
Okay.
And there is another match that, because your friend, Mr. Carter, no-showed, you have to have another qualifying match at the start of the show. Okay. So there'll be one more match that will be people trying to qualify, and I believe we've filmed the video. We haven't uploaded it yet, but it will be announced very soon who those two people are. I'm a fan of both. I can't wait to see what happens between the two and who gets in the tournament. So.
But yeah, I was noticing, because I was counting. I believe it is 7 names that are announced on that flyer. So no, that makes perfect sense. Gosh, is there are there? I think before we get out of here, there's a lot I could ask. Are there any? Again, talking about storylines y'all building, push Mr. Carter and Mr. Dixon to the side, Karen Bam Bam and Faye Jackson had their match, and Faye was like, hey, we could do round 2 whenever you want. I've seen Kevin Knight have words, you know what I mean? With people, like, facts. Fast as hell, Ian Maxwell, thank you. Are there any matches in particular that you've been cooking at? You're like, 2025. I can't wait for y'all to see what's on the list.
Yeah. There's plenty of that. I mean, there's stuff 2026 that I'm ready for you guys to see. But you guys, you'll just be patient with us. But it's gonna be a very fun ride next year. You have no idea where the story is going to take you, and it's going to excite a lot of people. Considering what people are already reacting to, the next year is going to be very, very fun.
Damn, I love this. I'm gonna, again, as always, I'm gonna stick a pin in this conversation right now. We're gonna have to return to this. Black History Month, February. It's not that far, and that's always a good time for Nation Time to reconvene. So, Darius Lockhart, before you get out of here, please let the people know where they can find you, find ASÉ, everything, tickets, all that stuff.
Yeah, you can find tickets at ASÉWrestling.com, ASEWrestling.com. There will lead you also to all our social media, but it's at ASÉ Wrestling on everything. You can find me at Darius Lockhart on Instagram and at DLockPro on Twitter. Even though everyone's leaving Twitter now, it's almost dead. I gotta figure something out. But
Blue Sky.
Yeah, Blue Sky. Something. I'll make a Blue Sky account soon, or Threads or whatever. But if you want to find us on something and you don't know at ASÉ Wrestling, you will likely pop up. That's what I'll say to you.
Bet. All right, man. Well, we got there's a couple more weeks. Hopefully, you have a blessed holiday. Thanksgiving coming up. I know it can't be too blessed. I know. Imagine you got training. You got thoughts about what's going on. You got a whole again. There's a whole 1 year anniversary of ASÉ Wrestling. Just being able to say that is a beautiful thing. Darius Lockhart, thank you for coming through. Appreciate you, and we'll talk soon.
Absolutely, we'll talk soon, brother. Thank you.
Bet.